You wake before the world remembers you exist. The pager is a heartbeat in your pocket. Coffee is a ritual. Sleep is a rumor. You learn to read a patient in the way other people read faces. A tremor in a hand. A hesitation in a sentence. You catalog every small sign like weapons and maps. Medical school taught you facts. Residency taught you how to not be paralyzed by them. You work in shifts stitched into one another. The learning never stops. You memorize anatomy like a love song. You learn to separate your hands from your feelings when needed. Then you put them back together when it matters. A mentor shows you how to break bad news without breaking yourself. You watch them tuck their own grief into a sterile tray. You promise yourself you will be better. You promise yourself you will be human. You are a student of responsibility. The stakes are always higher than your sleep schedule. Level 2. You pick a specialty like a vow. Surgery is a theater of precise violence. Emergency medicine is chaos distilled into decisions. Internal medicine is a chess match with biology. Pediatrics is fierce tenderness. Pick one and you buy a world of rituals. The first time you hold a scalpel, your hands shake. The first time you intubate, air finds its way back to life. You feel power and terror in the same breath. You learn to trust protocols the way sailors trust stars. They keep you from getting lost when everything else spins. But protocols are anchors, not blinders. You improvise when the map is wrong. A heart goes quiet. You have 30 minutes. You reroute, repurpose, call favors you forgot you had. You learn to lead without being loud. You learn to move people with quiet clarity. Your team becomes your extended hands and conscience. You are never alone in the room, even when you are the only one awake. Level 3. Responsibility is a weight you wear like armor and like a wound. Families arrive as galaxies of questions. Some are calm. Some collapse into your arms without meaning to. You become a translator of uncertainty. A diagnosis is a sentence and a map. You have to say both. You learn to choose words like keys. You deliver truth with the exact tenderness it needs. There are moments you cannot fix. You sit in those moments. You let silence be medicine. You learn to apologize on behalf of science. There are legal forms and consent forms and moral forms. You must carry them all while someone you love weeps in the hallway. You keep a ledger of promises made and promises kept. You burn the mistakes into your memory so you will not repeat them. Guilt is a constant companion. So is pride. When a plan works. When a child breathes after you thought they wouldn't. When a family thanks you through exhausted smiles. You swallow both. You are accountable to life and to the system that holds it. Level 4. Ethics is a battlefield disguised as conversation. You argue at 3 a.m. about a single ventilator. You decide where resources go with your hands and your heart. You learn the arithmetic of scarcity. You make choices that ethical textbooks debate for years. Sometimes you are right. Sometimes you are haunted. You learn to defend decisions to committees and to the mirror. You learn to forgive the system and to fight it when it fails patience. You carry the faces of people you couldn't save. You carve lessons from their absence. You refuse to let their names be just grief. You lobby. You testify. You demand better equipment, better staffing. Your white coat becomes a flag. You learn that responsibility extends beyond the bedside. It reaches into policy rooms and break rooms alike. You fight for safer protocols. You fight for time with patients. You fight to protect the futures of those who trust you. Level 5. The rhythm of hospital life is a private symphony. Morning rounds are a performance. You move from bed to bed like a conductor. You listen to lungs like instruments. You read charts like musical scores. The tempo changes without warning. A code blue becomes an orchestral crescendo. You improvise your role. You call, you compress, you medicate, you direct. You watch hands follow yours without question. You are both leader and servant. At night, the pace is different. It is quieter, but the intensity is sharper. You carry calls from family members who ask the same question in different voices. You patch together sleep between admissions and orders. You learn to rest in sentences of 3 minutes. You learn to make decisions that will outlive you. Your choices ripple like stones in a still pond. A prescription alters a life. A delay costs more than time. You measure your legacy in good outcomes and in lessons taught. Level 6. Burnout is not dramatic. It starts as small failings. A laugh you cannot summon. A mistake that stings more than it should. You notice yourself growing hard in places that used to be soft. You either bend or you break. You find ways to rebuild. You find colleagues who hold you steady. You find rituals that anchor reality. You schedule vacations like they are operations. You talk to a therapist and call it a skill, not a weakness. You admit you are not infallible. That admission is medicine. You begin to teach. Teaching is a refuge. You see your younger self in their eyes. You correct the errors that once nearly broke you. You pass on shortcuts and warnings. You keep the culture humane. You change how the next generation carries the weight. You become a patient advocate and a humane mirror. Level 7, triumph arrives quietly. It is a parent holding a newborn and asking your name. It is an elderly patient walking down the hall with a cane and a grin. It is a note slipped under your door that says, "Thank you for staying." These small salvations are why you came into medicine. You accept the fatigue because of them. You remember the oath you took not as words, but as daily tasks. You defend the tribe of people who need you. You keep learning. You adapt when new science arrives. You admit you don't know and enlist help. You lean into humility. You are a steward of fragile miracles. You are both a scientist and a witness. When you look in the mirror, you see someone who has given more than they took. You also see someone who still has questions. Your life as a doctor is not a single moment. It is a long series of choices, some heroic, some simply human. You are responsible. You are exhausted. You are necessary. You keep going.